I'm Doug Maitland. I'm with the Ohio Department of Transportation Office of Real Estate. This is Module 5 of the Value Finding Module series. Module 5 is the Value Finding Case Study, Right-of-Way Plans. What we're looking at right now is the right-of-way legend sheet of a project identified as Butler 73 13.05. Your appraisal assignment is Parcel 1 on this project. And that property is located at 4219 Trenton Oxford Road. So here is Google Maps. We plugged in 4219 Trenton Oxford Road and we hit search. And you can see that that property is in the southwest corner of the state of Ohio. And if we zoom in, you're going to see that Cincinnati is at the extreme southwest corner, and this property is just north of Cincinnati. I'm going to zoom in a little more, and you can see that this property, it's not at the intersection exactly, it's a little west of the intersection of Trenton Oxford Road and Jacksonburg Pike Road. I'm going to zoom in a little more. This particular photo actually shows the project is underway. And on this particular project, they are changing an at-grade intersection, in this case Trenton Oxford Road and Jacksonburg Pike. It used to be a four-way stop, and they're removing the four-way stop and they're putting in a roundabout. The property that we're appraising, 4219 Trenton Oxford Road, is outlined in red. You can see the approximate location of the property lines before the taking, and you can see that there are single-family residential homes and agricultural fields, and there's also a cemetery abutting the property. Property is improved with a single-family home. There's a pool behind the home, and to the right of the home is a barn structure, and then below the barn structure is a lake, and then there's another outbuilding, and the rear of the property appears to be wooded. So now we're still on Google Earth, and we are traveling down Trenton Oxford Road, and you see that growth to the right. That's where the cemetery is at. It's where the cemetery and the property we're appraising intersect, and you can see the property we're appraising. There's a chain link fence running along the road. You can see the single family home to the right. You can see the red barn beyond it. And as we're looking down Trenton Oxford Road towards Jacksonburg Pike, that is the intersection that we're going to change into a roundabout. You can also see that we're actually going down a hill that direction. And here's the aerial, and it is showing you the direction. The yellow arrow is showing the direction we're actually looking. All right, so here's another picture. This is obviously at the drive entrance of the property with Trenton Oxford Road. And there's an aerial showing the direction that we're looking at. You can see that within the road right-of-way is a ditch, got a chain link fence running along the road, and it abuts a stone wall and pillar area on either side of the driveway. There's actually a culvert that runs under the driveway, which appears to be concrete. Here's a view looking straight on at the driveway. You can see the culvert, the rock area by the culverts on either side of the driveway. You can see the stone wall and pillars on either side of the driveway. There's a gate, a metal gate running behind the stone wall on the left side. There are some trees on either side of the driveway. You can see the red barn on the property to the right, and you can also see the lake. And we are continuing going down the hill towards Jacksonburg Pike Road. And here's an aerial showing the direction that we're heading. We're just a little past the driveway at this point. We are now at the end of the property, and we're looking the exact opposite direction. We are looking up the hill. You can see the red barn on the left. You can see the outbuilding on the left. And you can also see the chain link fence that is on the property line, and you can see on the left the ditching that is in the road right-of-way. All right, what we're looking at now is a summary of additional right-of-way. We're appraising Parcel 1, which is up at the top. There's two takings from Parcel 1. One taking is 1WD, the other taking is 1T. The owners of the property is Shannon Lance, Douglas Barker, and Lori A. Barker. And we're just blowing this up a little bit to make viewing easier. Parcel 1WD, the whole property contains 5.042 acres, of which 0.405 acres is encumbered with PRO, which means there's an existing standard highway easement on the property. The gross WD take is 0.554 acres, and the PRO within that take is 0.405 acres. Therefore, this acquisition is converting all of the existing PRO into a WD take. We are acquiring whatever property rights remain in that standard highway easement. That leaves a net take of 0.149 acres and leaves a residue containing 4.488 acres. The T parcel is 0.151 acres, and it's needed for grading and seeding. There's some notes that we've taken from the summary sheet. The top note says parcel 6T and 8T will be of 24 months duration. That is not the subject property. The subject is 1T. All other temporary parcels will be for 18 months in duration. That would cover parcel 1. So we know that parcel 1, the temporary, is a year and a half, 18 months. There's also another note: under no circumstances are temporary easements to be used for the storage of material or equipment by the contractor unless noted otherwise. So the only thing the contractor can use this property for is grading and seeding. So what we know from the summary sheet: Parcel 1 is owned by the Barkers. The area owned by the Barkers contains 5.042 acres. Property fronts along Trenton-Oxford Road, also known as State Route 73. The Butler 73 13.05 project requires a WD acquisition and a T acquisition from the Barkers. WD is an acquisition where ODOT acquires all rights. It's a fee simple acquisition, except it reserves a right of access to the residue. This access right must be reasonable and exist by permit issued by ODOT, and the owner may only access the road via this permitted access. The entire WD area taken is 0.554 acres. The road in front of the subject exists as a highway easement, and the Barkers own the underlying fee to the center of the road. This area is known as PRO, present road occupied, and is part of the 0.554 acre WD area. This PRO area contains 0.405 acres. The WD acquisition purchases the remaining property rights held by the Barkers in this PRO area. OJI, which is the acronym for Ohio Jury Instruction, instructs that only a nominal amount is paid for those remaining property rights. That amount shall not exceed $10. ODOT typically compensates $1 for these rights because when ODOT originally purchased that highway easement years ago, the owner of the property at that time was paid full fee value less $1. So the net WD area where ODOT pays full fee value is calculated as follows. The total WD take is 0.554 acres. The PRO that is converted to WD is 0.405 acres. Track that from the 0.554 acres equals 0.149 acres, and that is the net WD where full fee value is paid. And the residue is what remains after the WD acquisition. Before the WD take, the property contained 5.042 acres. The WD area was 0.554 acres, and the residue contains 4.488 acres. This calculation is important because the area of the whole before the taking is appraised as a vacant site and its unit of value is allocated to the land taken. After the WD area is acquired or controlled, ODOT can temporarily use the residue for seeding and grading associated with construction. This is known as the T taking. T contains 0.151 acres. The duration of that T is 18 months, and OJI instructs that compensation for land uses Ts is to be based on the rental of the land. So the unit value of the residue land is multiplied by the area encumbered by the T, which gives us the fee value of the land encumbered by the T, and that's multiplied by a capitalization rate appropriate for the residue land, and that gives us our annual land rental. And since the duration of the T is 18 months, that's 1.5 years, the annual land rent would be multiplied by 1.5 to give us compensation for the T. It's time for a knowledge check.